Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today we're going to be talking about a directorial debut by Barry Levinson, which is the 1982 film Diner. Evan, what did you think of Diner?
I did not know that this was a directorial debut until you just said that there. It's very it feels like a young filmmaker and it thing I loved about this movie is just that it feels so like what I laughed at is that it almost feels like a film that like A24 would make in a modern context, but the cinematography wouldn't look this way and the dialogue would probably be different and I love how unique this feels and like just capturing like the tone and the vibe of the time period that it's set in. So
Yeah, it is interesting considering how much it leans into the 50s isms because it's like you kind of wonder like what was the necessity of that, I guess, because the movie could have easily been set in the 80s, but I think it adds a little bit to the atmosphere and part of the like culture at the time, especially considering like the movie makes a big point about how about like women's rights and everything like that, of like women,
mhm.
just like it's being treated as more than um just someone you marry, being treated as actually people, which obviously for the 50s would have been like around like the start of that, getting bigger, comparative to comparing to the 80s where that was like more of a norm. So I think it justifies the 50s vibe it has. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It feels, if it, it's one of those movies that I think a lot of people have said that's like very inspired by like the Woody Allen style, the like Reservoir Dogs try to be as well. The like,
Yeah.
bunch of like men talking about
What
like irrelevant bullshit sitting around, which was like a style
well it's
very, you know, prevalent in the 80s and 90s.
well again that's like with the whole thing of like movies not really feeling like this nowadays. This is like exactly what you said, like Tarantino or Woody Allen, that laid back vibe. Probably the thing like the I've seen most recently that's a little similar to this is The Holdovers, like tonally and in terms of how the dialogue plays out. It's pretty similar to something
Mm,
like this, but I love movies like this. And the cast in this movie is
it
insane.
is
Like
insane.
Daniel Stern, Kevin Bacon, Paul
Mickey
Reiser,
Rourke.
and Mickey Rourke. Yeah, it's huge. And
And
they're
they're all really
they're all
great.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke
Yeah.
especially, he was really good.
Yeah. It's just so funny seeing Daniel Stern. I'm so used to seeing him as Marv in Home Alone, and
Yeah.
it was just like it was funny seeing a different role and one where he was taken seriously.
Yeah. And he is great. I yeah. It's interesting. It's a lot of people call this like a coming of age film, which it basically is, right? Like these
Yeah,
men
but
learning how to be, men instead of boys. Um it's interesting. There's like
yeah, the transition from like high school age to like when you're a grown up or like
yeah.
and when you marry off, basically like marriage changing your life. It reminded me a little bit of Brokeback Mountain in that regard, just how like everyone splits and everything it changes when you get married or when you like get in a relationship. So
Yeah. It's shit. I watched this film a couple of days ago, like uh, almost a week ago, so I don't remember the character names. But the the guy
uh
who arrives a little
well you
later, I think is it Billy? Um, the one
um
who arrives for the because everyone is already at the in town, but he arrives later, and his parents are like out of town for Christmas or whatever. Forgot his name, but he's the one
yeah, I think it's
who. who's into like Barbara, right? Who's that girl who's like his best friend, but they had uh they a night in New York where they slept together and she got pregnant. And
Ah, yeah, the church. That's Tim Daly. Oh my God, that's
yeah.
crazy. Another interesting cast member.
Yeah, I for me that was the most interesting part because like he seemed like the most mature of all the characters. Um
Well, yeah,
at
that
first.
dynamic, the dynamic those two characters had, and especially the scene in the church, that was
Yeah.
probably my favorite scene in the film. Like that
Yeah.
was great, all of it.
Yeah, I think Billy was like probably the most because like when he arrives, we see um shit, what's the name of the character? Eddie. Yeah. Um is it Eddie? I think so. Yeah. Who's like sleeping in his mom's house, like in his single bed. It was so funny because I watched this movie with my mom and she was like, oh my god, he's sleeping in a tiny twin bed. And I was like, well, yeah, that probably was his childhood bedroom. And she was like, well, yeah, but why doesn't his mom just change to a bigger bed? And I thought that was funny because it's like I saw it from a filmmaking point of view of the reason we're showing this bed being tiny and him not
Yeah,
fitting properly is to show his
the
immaturity.
symbolism
Yeah,
and yeah,
it's
the
like
not fitting in the world, stuck
exactly like
fast.
he's way too big. He's still clinging on to like his youth, even though he's a man now. So like I thought it from that perspective, but my mom was just like thinking logically, like his mom would obviously buy a new bed, which I thought was funny. Um, but it was interesting because we see him, like being woken up by Billy in his room, and when he is like Billy seems to like kind of judge him a little, like the way he's treating his mom and like the whole like oh make me breakfast and waking up at like fucking 2 p.m. like and everything like that. But then when he talks to Barbara, there's the whole thing of like his own view of like a relationship, a friendship with a woman is still immature. He also needs to grow up and understand that Barbara isn't just going to marry him just because, she's pregnant. That she has her own agency. She likes her job. She wants to keep doing it. And she considers him her best friend, but nothing like romantic. It was just like one night where they slept together, which I think for me was like very much the most
I
interesting storyline in the film.
Well, not to mention it was handled well. It wasn't handled in a soap opera fashion. It's so easy to just fall in the trap of, I'm pregnant, like, oh my God,
Mm,
what are we gonna do? But I'm like, and that whole dynamic of as well of like it can't just be because I'm pregnant, but he tries to pitch that it isn't, and like you can tell like he's sincere to a degree,
mm,
but it's just she says it was a mistake, and it kind of seems to be true.
yeah. Yeah, so it's really interesting and it is a little funny because they're all like the same type of like young white cis het guys who are all like, whoa, having sex with women. And I mean, there's a scene in this film that I I I don't know about you, but made me feel extremely uncomfortable, which is the popcorn scene because that was
Yeah,
straight up sexual assault. But
dated to say the least, kind of like really
yeah, at the
awkward in
very
a
least, it's the
modern.
kind of thing where like he obviously grows from it. It's not the type of thing where the movie's celebrating it. But I think in a movie nowadays, that type of scene wouldn't exist because that's straight up sexual
No
assault.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
no way
um,
would you make a scene like that.
yeah, but it's like I think everyone has a pretty decent arc, and I really like Shreve, his arc of
Yeah,
just like because he doesn't he says like
music.
and he says he doesn't know how to hold a conversation with his wife, and it's so interesting that he's like he married his wife because he loved having sex with her, but after they got married they don't talk about sex anymore. They can just have it anytime they want, so they have no idea what to talk about. And his wife tries to find like some comfort in Mickey Rourke. Uh, but I kind of appreciate that at the end it was just like a little reconciliation of being like, hey, I'm we're going. we're both going to make
Bad
an effort.
idea.
Yeah, it's just like we're going to make an effort. We want to stay together. It's worth trying. Which I thought was nice. I thought I was imagining that she was just gonna leave him by the end of the film, but I liked it. It seemed like a more grown up way of dealing with that situation, because the scene where he talks about his records and everything, that feels very childish from him. But by the end, you can see like he's handling it more like an adult, like after the entire arc of the film. So yeah, like all six of the main characters, I think they change like good bit throughout the whole movie, even though a lot of their immature, silly moments are like part of the fun of the movie, like when fucking Kevin Bacon is drunk off his mind and playing the fucking hammock. It's very funny.
Nativity scene, or yeah,
Yeah, very very funny. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like very heartfelt and it's very sincere and very interesting. And like you said, it's not the type of movie that we really get nowadays. It feels very of its time. Like I said, it feels very like Woody Allen inspired, which happened a lot, around this time, in the 80s and 90s. Um, and it just explores its characters quite well. And I don't know. I'm glad to have watched it. I really liked it.
yeah. I'd never even heard of this movie until you recommended it,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably wouldn't have watched it otherwise. But I solid directorial debut. Like this, there's a lot going on behind the camera. The cast are all amazing, and it just feels unique. It feels of its time, and it tells a pretty solid story. It didn't like sweep me off of my feet, honestly, and I this type of like, 'cause I've seen direct, like I'm not the biggest fan of Rain Man. It's funny how that works. Like I might, it might be worth it to rewatch it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's certain directors where you've seen other films they've made and you get a sense for if you'll like the like other films in their filmography, and I'm like, this director just isn't exactly like my cup of tea, but still, like, this is a really solidly put together movie, and the characters and performances are like what drive it home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this film it benefits a lot from, like, firstly the amazing chemistry that all the actors have, because generally they play off each other so well. Um, but secondly, it feels autobiographical, right? Like I'm not sure if it is, but it feels like Barry Levinson's like idea of growing up, especially because it was set like, you know, like 13 years prior instead of being set when it was filmed. Um, just the whole thing of like his time growing up and his, so it feels like a very personal story, which I think helps the film a lot in terms of just feeling sincere. And yeah, I don't think it like swept me off my feet either. I really liked it. It was like a very solid film. Um, I don't think I've ever actually seen any other Barry Levinson film. And the reason yeah, I haven't. The reason I found this film because I was just like searching for Christmas movies to recommend since it's still December. And I read this film was one of the lists, so I was like, okay. And the film is set around Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, but there's nothing Christmassy about it.
It's more about like a wedding. That's
Yeah.
kind of more the plot and setting of the story, like a week between a wedding. So
Hmm.
yeah, it still does have a bit of a Christmas vibe, and the sets have Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It and it is just a very good way of like getting all these characters together. Just be like, yeah, there's a wedding. And it marks a very good point of like this is when they have to grow up, like the most immature of all of them is getting married. So yeah. And I really like, because there's the whole thing of like the quiz, right, with the the football
Yeah, that was a
facts,
funny.
because it was funny, and he was like clearly wanting to back out of the wedding, for so long
Yeah,
throughout
just
the
using
film.
that as an excuse,
Yeah.
basically.
And then after he grows up, he's like, yeah, well, benefit of the doubt because she would have gotten that that answer. Um, which one of the answers, if you haven't seen the film, one of the answers was uh, answered by one of the guys, and she overheard it. So he was like, no, this answer doesn't count, even though she said she knew the answer. So
And he
it's
said it was obvious. He's the one who figured it out. It was Shreevy who figured that out. Like he's like kind of the least mature of the group. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a very nice film. It does. I think it has enough of like um the female characters in it feeling like real humans, right, that I like really appreciate, because movies like this, especially in that time, would have felt like the women were more props than anything. But like Barbara especially, she feels like very real, just like I like my job and we're just friends. And it's a very common thing for men to not be able to handle having a friendship with a woman, and just always taking it to a
Well,
romantic or sexual side, and her saying like you're confusing friendship with love.
yeah. It's also the like dynamic of. Oh God, I lost my train of thought. Uh, it's gone.
But that's okay.
Go back to your point. You're talking about Beth, right?
Barbara, the
Or yeah, the well, yeah, I was gonna say that the story as well, like as marriage, there's a kind of a exploration of the housewife or the idea of like getting married and the
mhm,
guy like doing the job, or and that's just something that gets in the way where she's really invested in her job and
yeah,
she seemingly doesn't want a relationship even though she's on good terms. And I love that she just calls it a mistake, and it's so rough because he likes her, and who knows what he wants, but one way or another they seem to get along well, and it's just that's just thrown into the mix. And yeah, Barbara was a solid character,
yeah.
one of the more interesting for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just the whole thing of like him wanting like a simple solution, like, okay, let's get married and that solves all our issues. But her wanting more out of life than just being a housewife, and so like just showing him that like life isn't just that simple, that you can't just solve everything like that and just like fall in line and everyone doing what the society expects them to. So it was very interesting. Like genuinely, I think Barbara was my favorite character. She has like very little screen time, but I really really like her. But yeah, it's a very good side considering it's a movie made by a white guy. About six cishet white guys were just like very much womanizers and everything. So yeah, I don't know. I appreciated that a lot. And yeah, I don't know if there's much more. It's not that complicated of a film. It's just very interesting character dynamics between like an amazing cast. And
Yeah, I feel we compared this to Reservoir Dogs, and I feel like if I were to break down Reservoir Dogs right now, where I'm just like, yeah, like lots of solid characters, lots of solid dialogue. It's a pretty just quiet movie,
mhm,
but it's really good. It's like there's not
yeah.
too much more to say. It's not complicated how solid this is. So
Yeah, I feel like it's the type of movie that if you're in like your early 20s, it kind of feels like it's a movie you kind of have to watch because it has like that vibe that feels comforting about growing up. It doesn't feel like you're like, oh my god, the fear of growing up, like some films make like being old like this awful thing, but this film, it feels like it's fine to grow up and just stop caring about the useless bullshit they you used to care. um it's nice. And I don't know, I really recommend this film. I think it has it, I expected it to be pretty good because like I've seen I'd seen a few reviews and everything talking about it and like giving very positive thoughts about it. But I just genuinely like I don't know. It feels comforting. I could see this becoming a comfort movie as time goes on. Because it's a nice movie to watch, and it being set around Christmas probably has something to do with that. And yeah, it's very solid characters. Would you recommend it, Evan?
Yeah, I would recommend it. Like you said, like comfort movie and it being set around Christmas. There's a couple of hidden gems that are like son of unofficial Christmas movies, and this is one of them where
Mm.
I mean it's so funny I mentioned The Holdovers. That's another one that's technically set around Christmas. I love movies like this, and yes, I would recommend this. It, like I said, didn't blow me away, but it's still definitely on the positive side. And if you just never heard of it, I'm just like, check it out. It's great. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, Evan, it is your turn for the first movie of 2026.
Indeed, it is. I'm going with so Rob Reiner passed away like a couple of weeks ago, pretty recently, and there's a movie that I don't believe you've seen from in his filmography. He didn't make too many movies. Have you seen The Princess Bride?
I haven't. No.
Oh man, I am going with that movie. Because my God, that's on my list for my all-time favorite movies, and it is so unique. I yeah, Princess Bride, Rob Reiner. I yeah, start to 2026 and commemoration of Rob Reiner.
Fun. Okay. I was thinking of watching a few of his films now that he had passed, so good excuse for it. Um, all right. Rob Reiner's Princess Bride. And yeah, with that, folks, that's the end of 2025. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
my
watching.
God.
2025, what a year.
What was our first episode? Man,
Was it Bacurau, maybe?
around there. I think that was like January-ish.
Yeah, let me check.
It's
I
still,
think it was Bacurau.
I still remember Anna and the Apocalypse. Just like thinking about that, I'm like, my God, 1 year.
Um,
We have kept this going strong.
Utopia, Amadeus, by the end of the Laundry. I think it was Bacurau. Yeah, because I think Brave Little Toaster was
Yeah.
still in 2024.
Yeah, and then oh man, what was the other one you mentioned? It was
Yeah, the Brave Little Toaster was
but
December 25th. Yeah.
an Amadeus. That was January, right? Or
Yes.
yeah,
We did Bacurau,
that timeline.
Utopia, and Amadeus. Yeah.
Again, that's just one of the things I love intrinsically about the podcast. It's just we recommend this. I mentioned it like this movie. I never even heard of this, and who knows when or if I would have seen this without it just
Hmm.
getting recommended for this. So yeah.
It's a good
Oh
excuse to
man.
watch films that are on our watch lists and that we would just never get around to otherwise. Because we all,
I
as
have
cinephiles, we all have those insanely long watch lists that we never catch up on.
yeah, like I wouldn't even know where to begin with chipping away at that thing. Like I think it's like more films than the films that I've seen, period. So
Yeah, exactly.
I have a lot on my radar.
Exactly. But yeah, genuinely, folks, it's your support this year has been awesome. Especially on that 10 episode, which got like quite a
Yeah,
few views compared to our other ones. But
I've been seeing it as well with like recent episodes. I've been getting like an uptick in views. So yeah,
yeah,
like anyone watching, it's great to see. Glad anyone enjoys our ramblings.
yeah, and yeah, I really hope 2026 is another great year for the podcast. And yeah, I'm excited. I think this is gonna come out after my last video of 2025 because I already recorded that. I don't know when I'm gonna
Oh, you
release it.
already
Yeah, I recorded it last
nice. You
night.
got
Yeah, you've read the script. You know what it's about. It's
I
reference.
have, I do.
Yeah, it's stuff we mention in this podcast all the time. We gotta make those t-shirts. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, genuinely, folks, it's been a great year. I hope 2026 is kind on all of you. That you all have a great year, and that you know keep enjoying our content. If you do, if you don't, that's okay. I won't judge you. Um, and yeah, I mean, just the usual YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music if that's where you're listening. join my Patreon or become a channel member if you want to get the podcast and my own videos a little early than the general public. And I think that's it. Evan's channel's in the description. He's got a video
Yeah.
cooking.
Skye's seen a draft. It's coming along. Like I need to do some ADR, like add some text, but I it's like it really is 90% done and I can release it like when I want. I'm not under a deadline. I was trying like booking it towards the end to try to like beat season 5 of Slow Horses before it came out, before I released my original video, but I'm like I'm not under any timeline like that. It's probably like going to be a solid 8 months at least before season 6 comes out, but that video, so I'm not going to release it this year, but that video will come out next year, potentially January. Like, I don't like deadlines, but it's coming soon and it's going to be great. So, yeah.
Yeah. With that, folks, yeah, goodbye. Have a good 2026, and we'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.